Who said you can have a powerful bass cannon with a wide soundstage for $499 US? Today we are reviewing the Campfire Cascara. This is an IEM or in-ear monitor or earphone for simplicity, which is priced at $499 and it comes with dual dynamic drivers for each IEM. They are like a minified Bonneville and I really enjoyed the Bonneville. So let's see how Campfire would sound like if there were no balanced armatures in there. Since we know that the dynamic driver between the Cascara and the Bonneville is similar, if not exactly the same, it is similar, we will likely hear a lot of bass, and I can confirm there is quite a bit of bass with the Cascara. We start with the impedance, which is quite low, making them sensitive to noise and to source problems, and also a pretty high SPL, so it reacts quite quickly to signal, which is a good thing because they are easy to drive, but also a bad thing because the source have to be of a very good quality for the Cascara to sound right. We have detachable MMCX connectors, which are compatible with most MMCX cables on the market. As you can see, they click right in and right out. They don't turn freely, so they are not loose. You can see, so that is an important aspect for MMCX connectors. The default cable is of a good quality. I never felt the need to replace it, unlike Sennheiser EA900, where the original cable was not my taste. It had those hard ear guides and it was uncomfortable. With the Campfire Cascara, the default cable is plenty comfortable. It is really fun to use, so no problems there. There is a bit of driver flex when inserting them, which is different from the Bonneville, and I wonder why, because the Bonneville also has a dynamic driver, but I am feeling it at least in the left earpiece. So this might be a slightly pre-production unit that has this issue, but as I noticed it, I figured it is better to mention it than for you to have it than for me to not have mentioned it. If you are sensitive to driver flex, you can look for something else like the Bonneville or the Campfire Dorado 2020 or most other Campfire IEMs which don't have driver flex, except for Campfire Atlas, a model which I reviewed almost 5 years ago, which did have a bit of driver flex. The wearing comfort of the Cascara is pretty much equal to that of the Bonneville. I am getting an improved comfort if I switch the default ear tips to DD Hifi ST35 ear tips, but it's not necessary, it's just a thing that I do because they give me a better overall comfort, a better fitting and a better seal. The company tries to push the idea of using foam tips, but foam tips, at least for me in particular, don't work so well. My ears don't like having foams inside. So I would use the DD Hifi ST35 tips for an improved comfort. The passive noise isolation is very strong, between 20 and 30 decibels of passive noise isolation, depending on the frequency. So for the lower frequencies, the passive noise isolation is slightly lower. For the mid-range, it is very high, and for the treble, it is extreme. You typically don't hear much hissing or other noises from the outside. They don't leak much, so you can blast metal even in a library if that's your thing. It is for me. Also, the wearing comfort is good because the cable is not very springy. It has a slight tendency to remember its kinks, but it doesn't insist on them too much. As you can see, it reverts to its original shape. Also, the cable is not tangle prone. It is one of the least tangle prone cables on the market at this point. I've reviewed over 700 products and still this is one of the least tangle prone cables that I've come across. It was super nice to use. The cable I have is ended in a 4.4mm balanced connector. I recommend using the balanced connector. If you are purchasing a $500 IEM, better get yourself a balanced source and better use the balanced connector. Typically those have a better sound. It's not like the single-ended output can't sound good, it's more like most companies have an easier time engineering a better sounding balanced connector. Speaking of the sounding, the Campfire Bonneville sounds insane. This is an insanely bassy sound. It's like a bass cannon. There is a lot of bass bloom too, so the sound is deep, it is lush, it is punchy, it has a very strong bass, like powerful, but there is also a bit of boominess inherited from this strong bass. The bass safely reaches in the 20 Hz region and then it climbs upwards, and the bass is strong up to about 200 Hz or even 400 Hz, so there is a lot of bass, mid bass, upper bass, and even lower mid-range. This means that most instruments will have a powerful body, tone of impact, but Also a bit of boominess, so the sound is always a bit dark, the tuning is dark because there is much more bass than there is mid-range and treble. The mid-range is really clean actually, very good emotion, very dynamic, so you will hear a lot of detail and resolution, but a slightly smoother presentation. I actually like the mid-range quite a lot, it is super pleasing to listen, super enjoyable. It has the disadvantage of inheriting that super warmth from the bass, so you can expect a really warm mid-range, but given the detail resolution and precision it has, it's enjoyable to hear. The treble is smooth but present, it doesn't entirely roll off, although the difference in quantity between the bass and the treble is quite high, so at about 15 to 20 decibels of a difference, you will hear so much more bass. The treble still extends up to about 18 kilohertz, so you'll hear a lot of treble, but it will be quiet compared to the mid-range and the bass. So the treble is not the central element, the bass is. The bass will empower, will dominate, and it will lead the entire song. If you are a fan of boomier sounding songs or of a warmer signature, of a more actually holographic sound because they have a really wide soundstage, the Campfire Cascara will be right up your alley. At the $499 or $500 price range, we have so many options to choose from, but no other option has quite the bass, the impact and the low-end extension of the Campfire Cascara. I would say that Cascara in general proves quite nicely why Campfire is able to give us such a beautiful sound with the Bonneville and where the substance and power in Bonneville comes from, although if you are looking for that extra resolution and extra detail, the Bonneville will deliver it a bit better. Also, the sound will be more balanced, so you'll get a better mid-range representation with a higher amount of treble, but the coherency and cohesiveness of the Cascara is a bit better. This is because there is just one driver, so everything has the same speed, same textures, and same impulse response. With the Bonneville, the balanced armatures are much faster than the dynamic drivers, so you'll hear a much faster and drier sound in the mid and in the treble, while with the Cascara, the entire sound will always have the same texture, the same speed, the same impulse response, which is on the smoother, warmer, more musical side of things. It sounds really analogic and it sounds really pleasing. I would say that for rock ballads or for rap or for hip hop, some EDM music, it is absolutely perfect. Also for most pop, it sounds quite beautiful. And especially for listeners who are above a certain age where our hearing tends to degrade, from my experience and from the feedback I've received from you, most people who are above 50 years of age will look for this type of warmer, smoother sound with less treble. As far as I understand from you guys, this type of sound is more pleasing and more natural. So especially if you are watching this video and if you are at that age, then the Cascara should provide a really full sound, really warm sound. It isn't perfect, and nothing in this world is ever perfect, because otherwise we would stop there. If we found the perfect EM, I would stop reviewing. I mean, we found it, we found the perfect EM, you know? But so far we haven't. There still is no perfect product out there. Nothing is quite perfect, but a lot of stuff can come close to being perfect. The Campfire Cascara is the perfect bass cannon, I would say. Powerful, warm, boomy a bit, but that sub bass full. This is how I would best describe it. I hope that you'll describe to your friends your experience at Audiophile Heaven as full of fun, as a joyful experience. And if yes, please do like this video, please subscribe to Audiophile Heaven, and I hope we'll see each other really soon for more videos. Bye bye!